All right, welcome back to MMA Mobsters, brought to you by Cell Saviors. Of course, Cell Saviors, premier supplements for world-class athletes and weekend warriors. Doesn't matter. Anybody that wants vitality wants to use Cell Saviors. And then, of course, Diamine.com, Diamine Clothing. And so you can go there, Diamine.com. Check that out. Find shirts and hats and represent the work hard, play rough Diamine mentality. And, of course, I'm joined this week, as every week, by the spectacular, the Chauvin one, the Oracle of Odds, Joshua Chauvin. How are you, Josh?
The Jufro, bro. The nicknames continue. Yeah, we got, honestly, Pat, I've been excited all week to talk to you. I'm always excited to talk to you. But last week's card was nuts, even by UFC standards. I know we have some news to jump into. Do you want to recap last week's card first? Because I have several things I want to
talk about that. And I went through the card and observed that I had missed a couple fights. I mean, we talked that, these were a lot of really closely matched, fights. So I missed a few in there. I don't know how you did betting-wise. How did it turn out for you?
I did very well betting-wise. I think the only fights I really lost money on were Mirzakhanov kind of looking lost against this mythical fighter that is light heavyweight Paulo Costa. Paulo has looked like a shell of himself against Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori, Sean Strickland, the list goes on, but you bump the guy up 20 pounds, he looks like he's reborn. What did you think about that?
Well, I found that he's quick, he's explosive, obviously more energy, better endurance, he's not as depleted. There's something to be said for that. He is a very powerful fighter, so he's got enough power to basically hurt anyone. And if he's got the speed on somebody and he's able to land and get in, get out, things like that, it's going to do him well, and it did.
Let me get your take on this, Pat. What is your opinion of weight bullies? And for the audience, I'll say real quick, weight bullies is kind of a guy like Paulo Costa. Conor McGregor was infamous for it. Conor should have been fighting at 155. He killed himself to make 145. He was bigger, longer than everyone. What do you think about weight bullies? Do you think everyone should just fight at their natural weight? What's your take on that?
I think it's brilliant. If you're willing to suffer and get the weight down and struggle, by all means, do it. Because, this is and here's the thing. People are like, oh my God, somebody's going to die cutting weight. Okay, these guys end up having 30, 40, 50, 60 professional fights. They, newsflash, they could die in the cage.
Yeah. Nobody talks about that.
They're professional athletes. That's what they get paid for. They're warriors. Look, it's modern day, look, it's the Christians versus the Lions. Yeah. Are you not entertained? What do you want? So let's be realistic. That's just the way it is. Professional athletes, they're cutting weight. They're taking their health into their own hands. That's the way it is. They don't need protection from people in suits and white coats. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's several things that I want to talk about from last week, but one of the big ones is shout out line movement. I know that last week I was pulling my hair out on this card because a lot of fights were very close, especially on paper. And I said, just got to trust the line movement. Let me tell you what line movement did last week, Pat. Line movement loved Tatiana Suarez. She smashed. Line movement loved Kevin Holland. He flipped from an underdog to a favorite. He won every round.
And we picked both of them.
We did. And I even said with a little bit of hesitation, I'm picking Kevin Holland. But when you flip to a plus 110 to a minus 140, that's a lock for me every time. I don't care how bad you've looked in your last few fights. And
I had a feeling Suarez was going to win by submission anyway. I mean, I don't know how the odds weren't more lopsided.
Yeah, on both sides, Pat, because the fight was minus 500 to go to decision. So not only, that would have been a really nice bet. The line movement loved Josh Hokett, even though he was annoying and getting on everyone's nerves. And I was like, wait a second. If everyone hates Hokett and everyone's rooting for Blades, why is the money coming in on Hokett? Well, that tells you why. And then last but not least, Oberg started as an underdog, flipped to a favorite against Jiri. What the fuck was that. So I'll sum it up real quick, and then I've been wanting to hear your take on this all week. Jerry's whole thing is he's a samurai, he's a Bushido warrior, he's this, he's that, he goes to temples, he fasts on top of mountains. So he's a little bit weird. And when he saw that Olberg completely blew out his ACL, could not walk, tried to throw a kick, fell over, tried to move, fell over. Jerry almost, it wasn't clear, is he taking, does he feel compassion for him, or is he showboating? Because he was doing some pointing, some in and out, some kicking of the bad leg. Come on, hit me back. Well, he hit him back, and he knocked him the F out. Have you ever seen anything like that? And what was that? And do you fault Jerry, or is that just the way his brain's wired, and that's who he is?
Well, I've seen people with some pretty severe injuries. You know, Jeremy Horn and Anderson Silva in Japan. Jeremy Horn had a destroyed an injury where he was so immobile it was brutal, but he needed the money. He took the fight on the cards. I think he won the fight.
Wow.
Anderson Silva won the decision, but he was fighting a Jeremy Horn that was literally crippled, and Anderson didn't even know. Jeremy was able to hide it pretty well. He just wasn't mobile, right? I've not necessarily seen what I witnessed in that fight with Jury. I mean, if you look at it, it's the way he knocked him out. I think Jury was thinking, "There's no way this guy can win now. Totally crippled. I can do whatever I want," and that was more the thought process. Well, when Jury came in, how he leaned back onto his good leg and threw that Mexican hook and caught him coming in, it was brilliant. I mean, because that was one of the few techniques he possibly could have thrown. And you got to know, based on an injury, mechanically in my opponent, based on how he's hurt, the only few things that he can throw would be something like that hook. So, that's Jury's fault for not being observant, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different takes on it. And probably my favorite one, I'm going to kind of adopt it, was everybody loves a crazy guy until he actually acts crazy. And that's kind of the whole thing with Jerry is he's mysterious, he's cool, he's a badass. Yeah, he's a little bit nuts, and he operates on a different plane than most people. I can associate with that. I can feel Jerry on that, but it would appear that his brain just kind of did a reboot, and that's that.
You're talking about fighters being like, this one's crazy and this one's not.
They're all crazy. Yeah, they're all crazy.
They climb in a cage and fight each other for the amusement of the masses, eating hot dogs and drinking beer. Let's be honest.
Yes.
You've got to be a unique individual to do that, and I'm far past that life, of course, but at a certain time, that was normal, right? It's normal. And it's not normal.
Yeah, and also this is the same Yuri who was down badly. 2 rounds to Khalil Roundtree, came back and smoked him in the 3rd round, one of the greatest comebacks of all time. He did that against Glover. He was down 3 rounds to 1, came back and won. His craziness has served him well in the past. He'll be back.
It was look, it's a mistake. He underestimated his opponent when his opponent was hurt and scared, and you never do that. You just don't want to do it. So,
and also, no one's giving Olberg credit for one of the greatest comebacks, one of the greatest single punches of all time. This is like
crippled.
Yeah, no one's giving Olberg any credit. We're just giving Jerry a hard time. So I don't think that's fair to Olberg. He should be getting his flowers.
So no kidding. Let's talk about Hokett. Hokett's a character, but I saw a clip of Hokett where he was talking about faith and kind of coming out a little bit on that side. And I was like, this is actually an impressive speech. When he does a lot of acting that, is kind of odd, whatever that is, and it's his own spiel, his own shtick. But the guy's fighting. He's winning. He's backing it up. So there's nothing really I can say about any of the antics. The guy's winning. He's tough as nails.
Yeah, so last Saturday afternoon when I woke up, I think the fight started at 5. I woke up early afternoon. I tweeted something and I said that I woke up. The first thing I thought about was the Josh Hockett Blades fight, and I was excited about it. And I said,
Yeah.
Hockett's won. Whatever you think about this macho man, Randy Savage, whatever he's doing, and then he does like 3 other characters that he does. Whatever he's doing, it's working because people are talking about him, and everyone wanted to see the Blades fight, and it didn't disappoint. This is the Conor McGregor way to do it. You get everyone paying attention to you, and then you deliver. A-plus performance all around from Josh Hockett. He is now a freaking star.
Good for him.
He's a star now.
Yeah, good for him because Blades is a tough guy. He's a good athlete. So that's a big win. Okay, so let's go on to a little more news real quick. We're going to bust through some of this stuff so we can get to the card. ONE FC is releasing some of their, vice president, Rich Franklin, of names, which is very interesting. They've released a few other people, of course. Michael Chiavello, a couple years back was released by them. Michael Chiavello, I think, is one of the best literally ever play-by-play
I agree.
sports commentators.
Very talented.
I mean, he's incredible. He's a brilliant man. I worked with him for 8 years. So Michael Chiavello was let go by them, ONE FC, a couple years ago or whatever. And I thought, I don't know what you were thinking on that one, But anyway, Rich Franklin is now gone as vice president. So what's really happening with ONE FC in your mind?
Yeah, in my opinion, this has been going on for a long time. Chaudhry Sedan, don't quote me on that last name, but Chaudhry has been running ONE FC for a long time.
And maybe we'll just say not making the best decisions.
Yeah, making some very shady decisions. So this has happened, I think, 3 or 4 years in a row, where MMA Fighting or ESPN or Bloody Elbow will come out and say, despite Chaudhry saying that they made $50 million in profit this year, they actually lost $30 million. And here are all of their public bank records, and here is everything. ONE FC is hemorrhaging money. And they seem to enjoy hiring UFC legends and putting them in office jobs, like Rich Franklin, like Miesha Tate, like others, and they're essentially glorified mascots. It's like, oh, hey, do you want to meet Miesha Tate? She works for it.
But Rich Franklin and Miesha are both intelligent people. I've known
they're very intelligent.
I know them well for many years.
Ton of decisions. Yeah, they weren't. Yeah,
and it's to bring over some attention, some media attention, things like that. So anyway, okay, so ONE FC may not be around forever. Maybe selling to the UFC, for God's sake, TKO, whatever. And then, but at the same time, the UFC not knocking it out of the park in Miami, low gate. Not a lot of people there. Did they oversaturate that market? Airline flights are way too expensive right now. People not wanting to travel and spend the extra money. There's a lot involved there.
Yeah, so Milotech texted me a few days before the fight that ticket sales aren't looking great, and he was right. It was a very bad gate. It was one of the worst UFC gates in recent history. We're doing these pay-per-views for free now in America. It used to be $80 a pop. I know that because every 3 or 4 weeks I was paying $80 to watch the pay-per-views because I can't be watching some internet feed that's 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes behind. I need to be watching,
live. Yep.
So I'm certainly aware that it's all
for
free
your live
now.
betting purposes. You have to.
Yeah, maybe since the gladiator fights are free, less people are going. I don't know, or maybe it was just a bad. It's Miami, so there's a lot to do. I would say let's look at the next month or two fights and to see if the gates are bad every week.
It's funny. The last time I was in Miami for a UFC, I was there for Matt Hughes' fight. Matt did well in that fight. But what's that?
Who'd he fight?
Now I can't remember. There's been so many fights. But anyway, Michael Moore, the heavyweight boxing champion, after he lost the title to George, was in our locker room with us before that fight. He was hanging out with us, and so I got to ask him questions like how hard does George Foreman hit? And he goes, run face first into that brick wall, and that's it. Like as hard as you can, run into that wall face first. That's how hard George Foreman hits. And I went, okay, I get the picture. And then we went out. Michael Moore invited us out that evening, and we went out with him that evening. And we went to see, we were going to go see one of my friends, he said. And so we went to this place in Miami to go see one of his friends. And it turns out it was O.J. Simpson. What? Yeah, so, but Hughes fought, thank you, Lee, I appreciate it, fought Sean Shirk on the Miami card. But anyway.
So you had dinner with the old O.J. Simpson when you were down.
No, we just said hi and moved on. That was the extent of that one. I didn't hang out to ask questions on that one. But anyway, all right, let's move on to the fight card. Let's go with John Yanis and Jamie Siraj. Siraj, no fights in the UFC, 0-1 for Yanis in the UFC. Both guys have had kind of lower competition to get there. Odds, I think at one time were basically leaning pretty heavily towards Jamie. Siraj, tell me what you're thinking is.
Yeah, Pat. So Gage Young. Wait, that's not the fight we're doing. Say the fight that we're doing again, because
Siraj and Yanis is what I had first when I did the research. So sorry.
Okay. All right. Siraj opened up at minus 290. He's now minus 265 on FanDuel, fighting Yanis. I did some research on Siraj. I don't love what I'm seeing so far. I think I know you talk about strength of schedule a lot. That gave me some concern. I think that Yanis is a live dog here. If he gave me 100 and told me I had to bet it on this fight, I would go with the plus 230 underdog here. That's my take on it. But it would just be a small, like, half unit bet. But
simply just to have a chance at making some
slightly leaning the underdog here. Yeah.
Okay. So, I leaned towards Siraj, and then the odds showing it was leaning towards him as well. So yeah, we're against each other on that one, but it's kind of a toss up to a certain extent too.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I understand you're betting the underdog on that one. So all right, Castaneda against Vologden. Castaneda's had certainly a lot more experience in the UFC. Vologden is 0-1 in the Contender Series, not been in the big show yet, but he's got some decent knockout power, good submissions, only been submitted once. The problem is that his competition has been mediocre, while Castaneda's competition has been pretty solid. So, when I'm looking at that, I kind of lean toward Castaneda in this match. I don't know where you're at.
Yeah, I like Castaneda quite a bit here, Pat. He's a Minneapolis guy. I ran across paths with him a few times when I was living up there in Minneapolis. 135er. He's got some decent wins at 135. He knocked out, I believe, Scott Jorgensen pretty bad there a few years ago. He's certainly an above-average bantamweight 135er there. Ironically, his odds are also minus 135. He started out at plus 110. So this is just like Kevin Holland and Olberg and others last week. Starts out as a small underdog at plus 110. Sharp money quickly moves into minus 135. I like Castaneda quite a bit here. I'm giving you like a 2.5, 3 unit bet on Castaneda. I love it when the underdogs flip to favorite. I've been a Castaneda fan for a long time. He will fight for your money. He's solid, certainly above average bantamweight. Give me Castaneda tomorrow.
Okay, and we're no longer covering the Rapazo Nascimento fight that is pulled off the card. So we'll move on to JJ Andich and Jamie Lynn Horth. Both have had some pretty good experience. Andich is 10-6 in the UFC. He's had a lot of fights.
Aldrich,
yeah. So he's had a lot of fights in there. Both have had, fairly decent competition rolling up to this point. What's your take on this fight? Who are you leaning towards on this?
We got a chick fight here. A couple of ladies at, I believe, 115 in the strawweight division. Jamie Lynn Horth started as a pretty significant favorite, minus 220. She's been dropped to minus 150, Pat. I say this every week with female fights. They are usually close, and we do often see underdogs win. JJ's tough, man. Lynn Horth is a little more explosive, a little more athletic, whereas Aldrich is just that boulder that keeps on coming. Aldrich would prefer the fight goes to the ground, but she can strike. Aldrich is, yeah, definitely an above average girl in that weight class. I think we're not really sure what Jamie Lynn Horth is yet. She could be a future champion. She could be not that good. She's very kind of up and down. Give me Aldrich here. Another underdog. I can get Aldrich at plus 125. That would be my lean.
Okay. So you're looking to make money, obviously. I'm leaning a little bit towards Jamie Lynn Horth. She's never been finished. Got good, decent KO power, considering number of fights. She's got much less experience, but there's something I don't know. I just think I looked at how they matched up. I thought Horth had the edge. I looked at the odds. Then after that, the odds were saying she was, and so I'm leaning toward Horth pulling out the victory.
Yeah, well, so we're gonna have somebody's gonna be taking some victory laps next week, Pat. We'll see.
We never keep track of it, so it doesn't matter. The only way, like if I was actually betting money on this, I could come back and tell you if I was lost my ass or not, but I can't. So anyway, take that to heart, all those gamblers out there. When you listen to me, I'm not betting a dime, so. That's just the way it is. Listen to Josh.
If you're gonna like go to someone's front door and bang on it and say you cost me all my money, come to my house, not Pat's house, for multiple reasons. Reasons.
There you go.
For multiple reasons.
All right, we're moving on to Melissa Croden versus Daria Zelishnikov. Kova. Is it Kova at the end there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All
a lot
right. So the more these Russians and Chechens and folks come in, the more the names look like eye charts. So I do my best. I do my best with this. Got to remember I got hit in the head for 25 years, so I'm doing my best to keep up, bro.
Hey, you're doing a great job, pal. That is a tough one. Yeah, I'm going to say Zelenikovkova.
Yeah, okay. So both are, UFC 1-1 for Melissa Croden. She's batting 500. Daria is 2-1 in the UFC, 10-2 overall. The odds are leaning. Aren't the odds leaning towards Croden a little bit here?
This is weird, Pat, and I'm looking at multiple different sports books, and yeah, it's pretty much the exact same thing as the Aldrich fight, whereas Jamie Lynn Horth opened up at minus 225, Melissa Croden opened up at minus 225, and has also been bet down to minus 150. So this is a mirror image of the last female fight, where these fights are supposed to be close. They opened up the favorite a little bit too wide when it probably should have been a pick'em. So there we are. So give me, for the second fight in a row, give me the underdog female, Zelenikovkova, at plus 122.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Zeleshnikova as well. Her competition has been better. Even though Croden, she's fought in the LFA 3 times, UFC twice. Her competition has been so-so. So, I mean, it not nearly as tough as Zeleshnikova, in my humble opinion. So I lean towards Zeleshnikova as well. So, boom. Tanner Bozier against Gokhan Sirakam. I have to read my own writing here. That's the problem. Gokhan Sirakam and Tanner Bozier. Bozier 5-5 in the UFC. Sirakam is 5-2 coming out of Bellator. So 5-2 in Bellator, 11-2 overall record. Look, I'm not trying to be disparaging about competition when I say these things, but it's just I'm trying to be transparent and honest about this. That Tanner Bozier's competition has kind of been shit. They haven't been super tough. There's some tough ones here and there, but overall just not great. And I think Sirakam has had there's some better records at least, you know what I'm saying? And that's still Bellator stuff, and, that's not the UFC. I get it. But so take that for what it's worth and tell me what you think.
Yeah, Tanner Bozier, I would consider him close to veteran status in the UFC. He's been around forever. He doesn't fight much. He definitely seems to always land on the occasional Canada card. This is in Winnipeg. And so we get Tanner Boser, definitely a below average heavyweight. Always comes in looking massively overweight with his big Canadian mullet flopping around. And Tanner Boser can beat the low-level heavyweights that sneak into the UFC. Anytime he gets put up against a halfway decent heavyweight, he kind of crumples here. I like Sarikam. I bet on Sarikam. When I hear Gokhan Sarikam, it gives me flashbacks of betting Bellator at 1 in the afternoon on a Friday over in Dublin or something. And Sarikam was a pretty good heavyweight for them. Now, one of the many Bellator PFL fighters to make the pilgrimage over to the UFC. I like him here. Boser's solid, but I think Sarikam is several levels above him. And so give me Sarikam at minus 150, maybe a unit and a half. Not crazy confident. You never really can be with heavyweights, but Gokhan Sarikam would be my pick.
All right, good. And I'm leaning toward Sarikam as well. Bringing that Bellator guy in and, see how he does. I mean, a lot of the Bellator people have kind of been wrecked for the most part, haven't they, in the UFC?
It's been up and down.
Some people have found success, so
yeah, it depends on if you include PFL in that. Obviously, Kayla Harrison has looked good. We had the Bellator on Bellator Violence last week with Pico and Pitbull, so it's been.
You're going to come out. Somebody from Bellator is going to win that. That's the way to do it. But all right. We'll move on. Valentin versus LeBlanc. 0-3 in the UFC is Valentin. LeBlanc 0-1 in LFA. My confusion is here, bro. 0-1 in the LFA and gets into the UFC.
Yeah.
I don't know how, the low hurdle there. A guy with one leg crosses that hurdle.
Yeah.
To get in. So I don't know what the deal is with that. It's 100.
Well, we saw a guy with one leg win a UFC title a few days ago. So, yeah, who knows?
True. Good point. Thank you for pointing that out to me and making me look even worse. But both guys' competition hasn't been super tough. They've got 16 fights and 12 fights, respectively, and both, when I looked at their competition, was so-so. So, what are the odds on this one right now? Where have they moved?
Well, the line movement here is fascinating to me, Pat Milotech. Valentin, who has not looked great in the UFC. Finney doesn't have much wrestling takedown defense. Therese Finney absolutely tossed him around like a rag doll for 3 rounds. He has had some massive line movement. He opens up at plus 130 as a solid underdog on FanDuel. He's now all the way out to minus 160. I can't believe it, but Robert Valentin's my most favorite pick of the card. I mean, that's huge line movement, and he really hasn't done anything in the UFC to deserve this. I think it's more of a fade on Julien LeBlanc, but yeah, give me Valentin all day. I think he cruises here.
Do you think he wins by knockout?
I'm not that confident. Let me look at the odds for.
You think he gets a decision win?
Well, let's see what fight goes is. Fight doesn't go is minus 200. So I don't think I'm going to be messing with any of that. I like him to win. Yeah, fight doesn't go is minus 200. Fight goes to decision is plus 150. So I don't know about that, but I do like him to win.
Okay. All right. So I'm thinking LeBlanc is going to pull off the upset in this one. So take that for what it's worth.
All right.
I think he's got a shot. All right. Moving on to Bazooka versus Barbosa. Barbosa is 1-0 in the Contender Series, 3-1 in LFA. I like it when they have experience in the LFA before they get into the UFC.
Yeah.
That's something that I've always looked for. And Bazooka is 1-3 in the UFC. Barbosa has a lot of knockouts. He's done well. Out of his 17 wins, he's scored 14 KO TKOs. So it's a very high percentage in my book. And neither guy has been finished with submissions. I think these guys stand up a lot with each other, to be honest with you. And I'm leaning pretty heavily towards Barbosa. you're probably as well. Where are the numbers at?
Well, you're looking good, Pat. Barbosa opened up at minus 400 on FanDuel, which was already a big number. He's been steamed up to minus 550. So this is your lock. This is your parlay piece. Can fairly confidently put Barbosa in those parlays, and he should bring it home for you.
Okay. All right, next up, number 63 in the world versus number 67 in the world. Gage Young versus Thiago Moises. I called some of Moises's fights, and I love the guy. I mean, in the LFA and stuff, he was absolute dynamite. He was blowing people up. And 19-9 in the UFC, that's a lot of fights in the UFC. Been around for a while, and it's like, it seems like yesterday I was calling his fights, but obviously it's been several years to say the least. So he's got a ton of experience. So does Young, 10-3 in the UFC. Guys are 10-3 overall and 19-9, 8-7 in the UFC and 1-1. The odds when I looked at it were pretty close. Where are they at now? Sorry for getting the juxtaposition on the records and UFC record. So
no, you're good. So Gage Young opens up at minus 130. He's minus 160 now. So the line is edging in Gage Young's direction. Nothing crazy though.
And so Moises is plus what?
Moises is plus 122 as of now.
So when I'm looking at their records, Moises 8-7, in the UFC, batting less than 500. Young 1-1 in the UFC. Are you betting Young? Are you betting Moises? Would you, if I gave you $100, who are you betting?
Yeah, I'm going to follow the line movement. I like Thiago Moises too. He is getting a little bit long in the tooth. You mentioned has a ton of UFC fights, and he was already a pretty established guy before he even got into the UFC.
Yeah,
so very talented guy, but age catches up to all of us. Gage Young is moving in the right direction. Is the younger of the two? Give me Gage Young. Probably about a unit and a half unit bet.
Okay, I'm leaning a little bit towards Moises. I think it's surprising to me. I looked through the overall records of their opponents and some of the names and stuff. There's obviously some quality names in there. They both have not done great against the top tier competition, but overall, they haven't fought a massive number of, hammers. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Anyway. All right. So, let's move on to Jasmine Jusudavicius. How do I say that name?
Jusudavicius.
Yeah. Okay.
I just wanted to throw out real quick on Thiago Moises. I could have used you back in, I think, 2021 when Moises joined the UFC. They matched him up with Alexander Hernandez. Hernandez, I think, was like minus 500 in that fight. No one had any respect for Thiago Moises. I bet Alexander Hernandez fairly heavily back there in 2021. Moises just danced him, just destroyed him, wrecked everyone's parlay. I could have used you telling me how good Moises was 4 years ago.
Coming out of the LFA, he was on fire. I mean, he was wrecking people. So, okay, moving on to, Jusudavicius.
Sure, yeah, good.
And Silva going up against each other, 8-3. Jusudavicius in the UFC. Karine Silva 5-2. Silva's got more power if we're going on knockouts, numbers of knockouts, and she's got a ton of submission wins.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on this fight? Who wins? And the odds are leaning, dude. I think Jusudavicius has the odds towards her, doesn't she?
She does. Yeah. Jusudavicius is another proud Canadian. So she gets on a lot of these Canada cards. Again, it is in Winnipeg. Both girls finish a little more than your average female in the UFC. They are both killers.
Did you just say it that way?
What'd you say?
Did you just say it that way?
That was, that was a little bit weird. How do we recover from this? But at least they finished.
They score KOs and get subs, bro. They score KOs and get subs.
They are very happy at the end of the fight.
The nice thing about having your own show is you can say whatever you want.
You
right?
can. You can.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Go ahead. Sorry.
Jacina Vicious and Silver, they are both finishers. I'm going to die on this hill. I'm not backing down. But so Jacina Vicious opens up at minus 340. She's minus 320 now. She's an overwhelming fighter, both standing up and on the ground. She's high energy. She's very strong in there. Karina Silva's more of a one-shot as far as strikes or submissions go. Jacina Vicious should cruise here. Being in Canada should help. The only shot Silva really has is, I think, pulling out a crazy submission or knockout out of nowhere. Give me Jacina Vicious here. She's not quite a lock. She's not quite a parlay piece, but at minus 320, I think she gets the job done.
Okay. Both have had solid competition when I looked at some of the names, obviously, that they've matched up against and records. Going with the underdog on this one, buddy. I'm going with Silva.
Wow.
For the upset. There you go. I said it. We'll see what happens.
I like it.
All right, moving on to Nalo versus Herbert.
And I just also want to throw in that I believe there's 3 chick fights on this card, which is a lot. I liked the underdog in the first 2 chick fights. Pat likes the underdog in the third one. We can easily see all 3 female underdogs get wins here, and that's not unheard of because, like I said, these female fights are almost always close, are very rarely blowouts.
Yeah,
you get all 3 underdogs. Yeah.
All right. Moving on to Nalo and Herbert. Nalo, a Bellator product, was 4-3 in Bellator, 1-0 in Contender Series. Herbert's 3-5 in the UFC. Both guys, have gotten some knockouts. Better percentage, obviously, than they've been knocked out. Both have been finished a few times themselves. And so last 5 fights, Nalo has gone 5-0, got some momentum, but competition has been very low, in my humble opinion, while Herbert has had tougher competition. But yet Nalo is the favorite. Tell me about that.
Yeah, you talk about strength of schedule a lot, and that's definitely worn off on me. I don't think we have a better example of strength of schedule, at least on this card. You've got Jai Herbert, who came into the UFC with quite a bit of hype. He gets lined up pretty quickly with a guy named Ilia Topuria. He knocks Topuria out. I mean, pretty much as close as you can come to knocking someone out. Puts his shin right on his forehead, and down goes Topuria. But what does Topuria do? He gets up, a la Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Gets up, survives, finishes Jai Herbert, and then that is just the express lane to a title for Ilia Topuria. He goes on one of the craziest streaks in history, knocks out Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, Charles Oliveira. The guy's on an all-time run.
How different is incredible. I mean,
how different could Jai Herbert's life have been if Topuria would have just stayed down? Mm-hmm. So here we go. He's fighting Mandel Nalo. So Jai Herbert's fighting Ilia Topuria. Mandel Nalo is fighting Jim Buck Louie from Ghana, or so. I mean, this is the end of Bellator, so they were just giving him whatever fight they could put together. Credit to the guy for going 5-0 in his last 5 fights, but I'm not that impressed. So, yeah, I mean, he's minus 180. He opened up at minus 155. I'm gonna lean Nalo, but I'm telling you, Herbert has shown that he at least belongs in the UFC. Nalo hasn't shown me that yet. I'm going to lean Nalo, but I won't be shocked if Herbert gets the win tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Herbert, the underdog here. I think he can certainly pull it off and win. And look, going into the big show for Nalo, even though he's been in the Contender Series, which is not the big show, it's a step up. It is, no matter what. And Herbert's been there 8 times already.
Yes.
So, and he's fought some very, very quality opponents, tougher opponents. So I'm leaning.
You know what Mandel Nalo's nickname is, Pat?
What'd you call him?
You know what Mandel Nalo's nickname is?
No.
Rat Garbage. One of the weirdest nicknames in MMA.
Rat Garbage?
Mandel Rat Garbage Nalo. It's been his nickname for like 10 years.
Interesting. Dumpster diver, apparently. Maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Never know. All right, going to Phillips and Jordan. Charles Jordan against Kyler Phillips. Guys are 6-3, 8-7 in the UFC. A lot of their experience, like a lot of fighters nowadays, is being gained. They're going into the UFC so early in their careers that they're getting a ton of fights in the organization. I would say that Phillips' competition has been tougher. It's been above his experience level and usually above his record level.
Yeah.
Which says a lot when you get matched up against those kind of people. He's still 6-3 in the UFC, 12-4 overall. Tough guy, and yet the last I looked, he's not the favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, I applaud your analysis there, Pat, because you hit the nail on the head. Kyler Phillips, his whole career, has taken fights he should not take. He's taken Dominic Cruz fights. The guy he fought maybe about a year ago was an absolute killer, and he takes a fight with him, won the first round against him, but then got kind of tuned up by the power. Charles Jourdain is another Canadian staple on these cards. They call him Air Jourdain. Shout out to Michael Jordan, number 23. He's a fun guy, but he's getting a little long in the tooth, like a lot of these fighters are. Phillips is decent, and I think that his fearlessness to take fights against killers is maybe the reason why more people don't give him respect. But you know who's giving him respect, Pat?
Who's that?
Sharp bettors. Jourdain opened up at minus 188. He has been driven down to minus 148. That means sharp money is coming in on Kyler Phillips, and it's coming in fairly heavily. So give me the underdog. I think plus 120 is a steal for Kyler Phillips. Let's make it like a unit and a half bet, which at plus 120, you don't need to bet that much. So I like Kyler Phillips. I like him a good amount. I think he should be the favorite here. So if I can get him at plus money, let's do it.
Beautiful. I love it when great minds agree, brother. All right. So Mike Malott against Gilbert Burns. Interesting matchup. What's that?
Main event time.
Yeah, main event time. And so anybody out there that calls the winner, what round and what fashion gets free cell saviors and free Diamond Inc. clothing. We really are looking forward to giving away some. Could people get some accuracy going out there? We've missed a few of late as far as, when it was going to win, when it was going to end, and how, some of that stuff. You can't be Nostradamus all the time, right, Josh?
Sometimes more like Nostradamus. Did we both have Olberg last week, or
no? You
were on Jerry.
I had Olberg last week. I don't.
I had Olberg because I bet on Olberg. So yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know if we got the round though, and all of that. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and look. But anyway, this week Gilbert Burns, number 55 in the world, against Malott, number 28 in the world. Malott 6-1 in the UFC. Gilbert Burns, a ton of fights. I just don't think he's big enough for the 170 pound. I'd never have thought he was big enough for the 170 pound weight division. Just not as rangy and as long as a lot of the guys he's fought, but he's done well. 15-9 is very respectable. Very high competition, solid competition for Malott. What's your overall breakdown? Who's going to win this fight, bro?
So I'm going to do two different breakdowns. First, just from a fan perspective, Malott is a frustrating guy. Seems to have all the tools, perhaps lacking a little bit in confidence. He's very good striker, very good on the ground, wrestler, jiu-jitsu, has the whole package, and not so crazy that he's getting kicked around as the next GSP. Obviously, Canada has long been waiting for their next hero of martial arts to arise from the Canadian ashes or snow or whatever and take them to the promised land. This line movement's nuts, though, Pats. Malott opens up at minus 600. Guess what he is now?
I think around 300.
300. I have not seen that crazy reverse line movement maybe ever on a UFC card. Certainly not in recent history. To see a guy open up at minus 600, and he's probably not done moving. He's minus 300 now. He could easily be minus 200 by the time the fight starts tomorrow. So I got to have some interest in Burns here. It's a 5-round fight, and Burns has just been there, done that more than Malott has. We've seen Malott struggle. He completely gassed in the third round against Neil Magny. That was just a 3-round fight. He needed to survive about 30 more seconds. Couldn't do it. Just gassed. Really, really, really bad. And for a young guy, he shouldn't be doing that. But credit to Magny. Magny's a tough SOB. But yeah, that's just given, I think, people some pause. But to bet Malott from minus 600 down to minus 300 means that millions have come in on the Gilbert Burns side. And I think that makes tomorrow's fight very interesting. Did you cut out, Pat? I think you might have got muted.
Still here.
Okay, you're good.
Okay. So millions have come in on Burns. What's that telling you? You're going to bet on Burns?
I have to. I mean, it's not going to be a huge bet.
You're forced to by the numbers.
Yeah. I'll absolutely be betting at least a few hundred on Burns. You have to. That is insane, line.
Would you ever go against the math when your intuition is screaming at you that the other guy's going to win?
I do. I do from time to time. I'll give an example. Benoit Saint Denis did something like this against Dustin Poirier, where he opened up at like plus 150, then all of a sudden he's minus 300, and I'm like, what? This is weird. Bryce Mitchell was like minus 200, and he soared to minus 600 against Josh Emmett. Got cleaned out in the first 2 minutes. Line movement is sometimes wrong, but man, this is just minus 600 down to minus 300 is difficult for me to ignore.
Boy, that's interesting.
But, Pat, and you're going to like this, but if you're a big Malott truther and you think Gilbert Burns is washed out, which he very well is, you're celebrating. You're saying, I was going to bet him at minus 600. Now I'm definitely betting him at minus 300. That means the odds have doubled.
Right. Yeah,
that means the amount of money, I have to bet half the amount of money to make the same profit? Sign me up.
Sure. Yeah, and so I'm just leaning towards Malott in this. I like Gilbert Burns. I really do. I just think Malott being 4-1 in his last 5, he's done well. He's done well. So I'm leaning towards Malott. And for all the people out there listening, if you're picking Malott or Burns, pick the winner, the round, the fashion of the win. And if you get it right, you get some free cell saviors and free diamine. So Josh, that's it for the card. Anything else you'd like to talk about real quick before we go?
Yeah, 2 things, and we're at 47 minutes, so yeah, it's going to be a shorter show. That's fine. 2 things. I want to close by checking chat. Another news thing I just want to bounce off you real quick. MVP has rolled out fighter salaries. The least that a fighter will make is $42,000. That is just what you get to show up, weigh in, and fight. Now that's compared to the UFC, which I think is 12 and 12 is their lowest level. $42,000 base pay. Is that at least a move in the right direction for young struggling fighters? Jake Paul has been adamant about fighters need to be paid more. Now Ronda Rousey's jumping on that train. Now Ronda Rousey never got nickel and dime by the UFC. She was getting paid millions from day one. She has jumped on the side of the fighters and said they need to be paid more. It's at least a step in the right direction, right? $42,000 is what you get to show up.
That's easier to do for one show a year, right? One show a year, you can pull that off. It's a little easier. So, having said that, good luck to MVP. I want there to be more successful big shows out there. I think it's important that competition exists. That's the American way, really, ultimately. That there needs to be competition, and so good luck to MVP. So yes. I guess that's it. Is that it, Josh?
Well, we have some public chat. We have your boy Jeffrey Wilson is in chat. You two do a very entertaining podcast together, so thanks for your support, Jeffrey. He says, "What's up, fellas?" He said the Oberg Jiri fight reminded me of Congo versus Pat Barry. Yeah, certainly some similarities. This was more of an injury, but obviously an insane comeback there. And then he's doing some Dusty Rhodes impersonations. So, yeah, shout out Jeff Wilson. Thanks for watching, and check out Jeff. Conspiracy Farm with him and Pat.
Yep. All right. So that's it for this week, guys. Good luck betting. Bet responsibly. if you have a problem, seek help. If you have a bigger problem, seek Josh. And Josh might be able to help you out, save your marriage, save your car, save your house. No, do not follow exactly what he says or I say. Bet responsibly and enjoy it. Enjoy it. This is very important. So anybody out there also like, share, subscribe, please. And
follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Yep, and The Chosen One on Instagram and other platforms for Josh. I am Pat Militich, PJ Militich, on those platforms. So anyway, for Joshua Chauvin, I'm Pat Militich, saying goodbye until next week. Good luck betting to all of you.
Good luck on UFC Winnipeg. We'll see you next Friday.
Hey. Yeah. Hey. Giving it all. Hey. Yeah. I'm giving it all I could give. Run up and taking my pick. Then bringing it back to the crib. Yeah. You know how I go. We finding the gold, the deeper we dig. So we just keep digging till we finally get it. Like fuck it, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yeah. I gave you my word, don't break it for no one. You know I'ma keep what I said. Ready for war, I've been deep in the trance. Been jumping since I had them streaks in the bed. Ice in my body, I'm cold under pressure. Recovered like I had no heat in the vents. Shooting, I don't have a conscience. Too much to accomplish. You know I can't leave it to chance. Yeah. Throw it in the bag. Throw some dots, I'm Jackson Dart. I'm out of pocket playing tag. Catch me if you can. Empty out the mag. Took the lead, I run the track. And I'm never looking back. Going for the moment, always rolling with the punches. Find a way to see through the ceiling, put a cover. Smoke is in the air, keep it heavy in abundance. When the dust settles, let's see who remains.